Hello, you are welcome to this video. Now in this video, we are going to prove that cosine 3x is equal to 4 cosine cube x minus 3 cosine x. Now we are going to be proving this using the Moivre's rule. Now the Moivre's rule states that if you're given a complex number z, okay, in its polar form, then z to power n, which is equal to cosine x plus I sine x to power n, the Moivre said that this will be equivalent to cosine n times the angle x plus I sine n times the angle x. That would mean that if you are given the cube root of z to be this, that means you're given the cube root of z to be cosine theta plus I sine theta. That would mean that z, okay, the cube of both sides become cosine theta plus I sine theta cube. Okay, so our z becomes this. All right. Now, if that's the case, then the Moivre say that this would be equal to cosine of 3 times theta, 3 theta plus I sine of 3 theta. All right. So we get to this point. Now, I want us to expand this side to the third power. Okay, we equate it to this. Since the Moivre said that they are the same, then we want to expand this side and equate this to this. And you know that this is your real part, this is your imaginary part. So after expanding this, you're going to group it, the real part, the imaginary part together. Say cosine theta plus I sine theta cube. So this will be equal to, now binomial expansion of the third power, first thing happen, 1, first coefficient, so that is cosine cube theta, right, plus the next you have 3 cosine squared theta, second power, and the sign will increase to the first power times I sine theta. So this is I times this second part, that is I sine theta. Okay, the next case, we're going to just go on, we say negative minus, okay, let's just show it's plus first, plus cosine of, this will reduce again to the first power, times this second part, so times I sine square theta. Sorry, times I sine theta square. This has increased. Take note of the coefficient here is 3. Then the last, we have plus. This will reduce again. That will become 1 times cosine has reduced and sine has increased. We have I sine theta 3. Okay. Now from here, right? From here we can just simplify this further. Breaking it down, we have cosine cube theta plus this is 3I cosine square theta is 2I. Let me just, okay, cosine square theta sine theta, right, plus, now I want you to look at this, this is square, so let's evaluate this. We have our I to be equal to negative square of negative 1. So I square, just like squaring both sides, we will have that I is equals to, I square will be equal to 1, negative 1. So we have negative 1 times, now, sine square theta. So that will become minus, negative 1 times sine square theta is negative sine square theta times this is negative of that. So you have negative minus 3 cosine theta sine square theta. Still have one more problem here. Alright, so we go on. Let's check for I to the third power. So say I is equals to square of negative 1. So I to the third power would be square of negative 1 to the second power times square of negative 1 to the first power. Okay, this to the second power gave us negative 1. Now this is I. So that gives birth to negative I. Okay, so big here gives us negative I. That will be negative I times sine cube theta. That will be negative I sine cube theta. Okay, now we've finished expanding this. We are done with the expansion. That we've gotten this. Okay, now I want you to recall what the Moivre called this. He said that this will be the same thing as this. So that means that cosine 3 theta and I sine 3 theta would be this. Okay, now I want you to look at the real part, cosine 3 theta, and the imaginary part, okay, which consists of the iota, this. So we're going to group all the real parts and equate it to this. And we're going to group all the imaginary parts and equate it to this. Okay, that's it. So grouping the real part together, we have this is the real part, cosine 3 theta. This is imaginary, let go of it. This is the real part, minus 3 cosine theta sine square theta. Okay, it is equal to what? It is equal to this cosine 3 theta. But in this case, we are not going to group the imaginary part because our aim is to prove that this is equal to this. So already we've gotten cosine 3 theta, it is equal to this part. So let's prove this. You have this will become cosine 3 theta minus 3 cosine theta. Okay, now what's your sine square theta? Sine square theta is simply 1 minus cosine square theta. We're going to change everything to cosine 3 theta. Okay, so having this will mean that cosine 3 theta is equal to, let's simplify this, we say cosine cube theta minus 3 this, negative this times 1, it's negative that, negative 3 cosine theta. Now negative this times negative this, you have positive, okay, plus, we bring it down, positive plus 3 cosine cube theta. Cosine cube theta. Alright. Now, from here, we see something, okay? This is plus 3 cosine cube theta. So it should be confusing. Now, from here, we see, and I like, okay? So we can group this together as cosine cube theta plus 3 cosine cube theta minus 3 cosine theta. Okay, so getting here, this plus this gives us 4. Okay, the two of them are the same, just difference of this. So we have 4 cosine cube theta minus 3 cosine theta. That looks like what we just had right here. 4 cosine cube theta minus 3 cosine theta. So that's it.